But we are going to just jump in here. If you would like to join or to pull up the slide deck on your screen, the link is right there. Allison has been posting some links in the chat window, but it's a bit.ly link, Chrome for All, and it's all lowercase. So that will take you to the slide deck. So the session today is called Chrome for All Learners. So some things that I wanted to cover on this was just why are we all using Chromebooks? Why were they selected for us? And when we have learners who are at various abilities and grade levels, how are we going to use this one single tool to meet the needs of all of them? So we're going to try to answer some of those questions today by showing you some different features that the Chrome browser as well as Chromebooks can offer. So who's using it? We are all using it, I think. I know I'm here in Eaton County, and for the most part, all of the districts here are using Chromebooks for all of their learners, with the exception of a couple of districts who are using iPads for their youngest learners, like pre-K through second grade. We also have some special programs who those students may have difficulty accessing something like a Chromebook. So in that case, they may also be using an iPad. But the majority of our learners and even the majority of our staff are being asked to use the Chrome browser as well as the Google Suite for Learning. So here are just some numbers, and these were from a year and a half ago. I have a feeling that these have grown exponentially since the start of the school year, or even back in May, but we have 80 million educators and students worldwide using the G Suite for Education. And we are now all learning how to use Google Classroom. And so it's everywhere. So rather than just using it as a tool where we are going to type our work, share websites, we really want to dig deep and see truly what the capabilities are. Google has hired a huge team of people to work on accessibility. So when we have learners who have disabilities or barriers of other types, we need to know what those other features are so that we can make this tool work for them. Also, some of those accessibility tools become universal tools. So I may choose to use the voice dictation feature on my Chromebook, even though I don't have a writing disability. That might be something that I just find easy to use. It lightens my workload. It makes my work more efficient. And so we have that option now because we have the tool that's capable of that. Why were Chromebooks chosen for us and for our districts? We know that Google is a household name. We also know that when our students and us open a Chromebook, it loads right up really quickly. They can get on and open up their Google Classroom within a matter of 20 seconds versus the old laptops or even some of the current laptops that take a good 2 to 3 minutes or more to load. Our IT departments in our school districts are able to make sure that what we are sending out to our students is secure. They're able to kind of change things on the back end to make things work easier for us. And also, I feel like, and the biggest one is the price. We are given Chromebooks because they are less expensive. And how great, because we have a lot of parents this summer who went out and bought them for their kids as they weren't sure what type of format we would be doing school in. It's an affordable tool that we can have in our homes for our children. I think it's important to just state this, that the Chrome platform or browser works across devices. So we have students who might be using their parents' Mac at home, and if they log in to their Chrome browser, all of the personalization features, all of the extensions, every setting that we've set up within Chrome will follow them no matter what device they log into. And that's a pretty important thing to note, that if I log into my laptop, if I log into my Chromebook, no matter where I'm at, the extensions I've set up, they're going to be there for me. In the olden days, when we would go down the hall to the computer lab and a student logged in, all their stuff would be there. But here's the tricky thing. As a special ed background person that I am, it's always tricky for me to walk into a classroom and to say, oh my gosh, every student in this whole classroom has been given the same thing. How are we making sure that kids at the high end of the spectrum, low end of the spectrum, how are we making sure that their needs are being met when they're all given the same thing? Before, we probably couldn't say that, but I think because Google has really dug in deep to providing these extra support tools within their devices, I think we can say that for the most part, we can make this device work for all students. Tomorrow I'm meeting with a family and their child has cerebral palsy, and we are going to go through kind of setting up a system with him using a Chromebook and also an iPad, because we know that he can access the Chromebook as long as we make sure that sticky keys is enabled, and as long as we maybe have an external mouse with a big trackball, he can navigate the screen. But the Chromebook will work for him as long as we make sure that it's personalized for him. So barriers, we know that there are a million different barriers to learning, and those are sometimes intrinsic. There are things that our students bring with them. Sometimes they're extrinsic. They have something to do with the system of education, or maybe it's just access to tools. So if you look at this list, I feel like this could be a day-long discussion in and of itself. But we know that there are barriers there. And so we just need to decide and try to figure out which ones we have control over, which ones we can possibly eliminate or lessen. And I'm hoping that through this presentation today that we can find some of those and we can break them down. I had to do my little UDL plug here, but I think that one thing that we for sure do have control over is, especially in this virtual platform, is making sure that the material that we're presenting our kids and our students in our class are represented in a variety of ways. So when we present to them a social studies lesson, maybe we provide them with a link to a video. We provide them with an audio recording of an article. We also provide them with the PDF copy so that maybe they can highlight things as they listen to it. So we're presenting material that they can then manipulate. It keeps them more engaged. And then when it comes time for us to find out what they learned and what they know, they're able to express that in a variety of ways. So maybe they can make a little video about what they learned in that lesson. They can use their voice to dictate the paper that we're asking them to write. Maybe they just are turning in that highlighted PDF copy that we provided them. So in the traditional classroom, we can still do these things, but I think because we're being forced to use a platform that is digital, we can pull in these three prongs that much easier. This is kind of like a silly little cartoon, but I think we've all seen similar ones to this. So all those different animals and the teachers asking them all to climb that tree to show that they're competent in that lesson, which we know just wouldn't work. So this is a quote, and the person who said this, his name is Mark Coppin, and he is an Apple Distinguished Educator. And what he said is in reference to his friend, whose name is Sadie Paulson. And what he said about her was that the beautiful thing about it was all online. So because it was all online, nobody on the other end knew that she had a disability. All they saw were her abilities. Even her teachers didn't know that she had a disability. So I'm going to show you Sadie and introduce you to her, but she was hired by Apple to do video editing. I know this is a Google session, but I just wanted to show that because that's Sadie, and she was able to participate in her grad school courses online, and none of her teachers even knew that this is Sadie. She uses Mac products. She uses a head array with switches to control her actions on the computer, to communicate, and so that's pretty amazing to me. So at maybe a lesser scale, when we are working with our students in our, 7th grade science class or 5th grade math, we're going to have a lot of students with various disabilities, and we'll know about them because we'll have their IEPs, but how great that we can also provide them with tools on their end at home or in the classroom that will allow them to perform in a way that maybe they wouldn't be able to do without the technology piece. So when we talk about accessibility, we might have students who require additional support to access the curriculum, to tell us or show us what they know, for us to be able to present material in a way that they understand it. And so when you look in these 3 circles, these are things that we see pretty commonly that we have to provide our students. So we have to provide them with a test being read aloud. We have to provide them with word banks when they're doing assignments. We have to have a para write down their paper for them, or to fill in the worksheet that we provide them. So when we think about all of the things that we are providing our students, can any of these be provided through the use of technology? And I know that they can, and the great thing is that when they can, our students are then able to be empowered. They are able to learn about what tools they need to succeed. Their confidence increases. So it's really a win-win. And then maybe we can use our amazing teacher assistants in other ways rather than having them take out our students from our classroom to have a test read aloud. So where I want to start, that was a long introduction, but where I want to start is with the built-in accessibility features of a Chromebook. So I'm presenting from a Chromebook because I wanted to show you guys where this menu is and how we get to some of these features. So when you have a student who logs into a Chromebook, this is going to look a little messy here for a second, but on the bottom right-hand side down here is the menu where they sign in. So if we click on this little pop-up window is going to show up here, and one of the updates that has been provided is to give this accessibility toolbar as part of like where we would sign in with to our Wi-Fi, or where we turn on our Bluetooth, where we would cast our screen. So they've pulled the accessibility menu right down to this main bar. You can click on it though, and it opens up a more expanded version right here with the settings window. But you can also just turn on some of these accessibility features right away. So the 2 that I always have on for myself and to show students is the select to speak and the dictation. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about those, but as you can see, there are several. We can do a large mouse. We can have the mouse automatically select the item when we stop it. We can zoom in. Sticky keys is a really cool one where instead of requiring a student to use 2 hands when they type, to hit the shift bar or to hit the shift button and then the letter to capitalize it, they can hit shift. That setting locks in. They select their letter and it's capital. So if we just have a one-hand typer, I've seen a lot of students too use the caps lock button when they just want to capitalize the first letter. So they'll hit caps lock, caps lock to turn it off. So, something to keep in mind there. That's how we get to the accessibility tool bar. There's also a link there that goes really in depth into the Google accessibility features that I wanted to provide to you guys. So let's talk about those two that I highlighted there, the select to speak. So once we have enabled that, which just shows up as that green little check mark that I already showed you, it's enabled. And then you can select any word on the screen and it will read it aloud to you. So I was practicing this and didn't delete it, but the other thing is the voice dictation. So if I have my little, down here on the right-hand side, click on dictation and make sure my cursor is in this window, it's going to type everything that I say now. Turn it off and it will stop. Or maybe it didn't. Okay, now it did. It's a little bit delayed since I'm presenting. And now if I want to have some of this read to me, I just select the speaker button down here and highlight the word. Maybe. So normally, oh, there it goes. It read it. It read the word dictation for us. I know when I'm in present mode, some of these things are kind of glitchy. But this will work on a website, really anything that's on the screen, a PDF, Google Docs. The only time it may not work is if it's a PDF that has not been converted to be able to be read aloud. So that's called OCR. It's an OCR conversion that pulls the text from that PDF. And so once in a while, this select to speak won't work for that, but I'll show you some tools that are pretty slick that can do that quick conversion for you or for your students. I don't know if there's any questions yet. I haven't been able to peek much at the,
Christy, we just have a couple questions about non-Chromebook for accessibility. So for example, what accessibility options or tools would someone have if they just had a regular like Dell laptop?
Okay, so if you as a teacher wanted to show students the accessibility piece, is there a way I may access this? So the Chrome browser itself has some accessibility features. The ones I'm showing you right now are just the built-in ones for an actual Chromebook. But all laptops, Dell, HPs, MacBooks, they all have their own accessibility settings that you can go through. They're just housed in different places and they're maybe named different things. But I can share out some links to those as well. They're all pretty standard now. It's just a matter of finding those on the device that you're on. And it's important to know too what your students are using.
Yeah, in general too, one thing that's really useful is YouTube when it comes to, like if you were to search in there, I'm working on a Dell laptop, accessibility features on a Dell laptop or something, and I guarantee that you get someone who works in the type of work that Christy works in, or like me and Allison work in, that would walk you right through it in 5-6 minute video that would show you where to click and how to turn everything on and what it looks like and all that.
Yes, YouTube has become quite the helpful tool the last 5 months or so. I think things like this, the videos that are in YouTube now for accessibility and for digital learning there are thousands of new ones every day, it seems. So a few more built-in accessibility features for a Chromebook. These actually, I'm not sure I should have specified these as Chromebook because these just work within Chrome. Voice typing is a built-in feature that we use in Google Docs. So if I am I'm going to open up my Google Doc here, and if I go to Tools, the Tools menu here, it's going to take a minute to load, but there is a feature called voice typing, and so I can activate voice typing directly into a Google Doc, and it will type everything that I say. It does take some practice and Actually, there's a really great guide that some assistive technology consultants in Chicago created that helps students go through the steps to become an effective voice typer. So I can share that out too if anybody is interested. But here it is, voice typing. Once you click on it, you just have to enable your microphone and it will go to town. It also works in Google Slides, but it only works in the notes section. So down here where you can take notes, you can use the voice typing from this toolbar as well, but it will only work in the speaker notes. So that's a time where you would want to use your built-in voice dictation feature like I did on the previous slide to be able to actually type onto the slides. Closed captioning, I had that on when I was in present mode so that you guys, somebody had said that the video was echoing. So if I turned on the closed captioning and was able to capture what the video said. So another really cool way to use that, some students who are face-to-face will have their Chromebook open. They will just open up a blank Google slide, turn it into present mode, and then whatever the teacher is saying, they will then have closed captioned on their screen. So students who have a hearing impairment may use that as just a go-to tool for them to be able to read what's being said. And the last one is Zoom. So not the Zoom format that we're in here, but to be able to make everything on your page bigger, you can use that Control+, Control-. I use that all the time, and the best one that I learned was Control-0 because that kind of resets it back to the original size. So just some universal tools that are built into the Chrome browser. All right, so Chrome extensions. How are we doing on time here? We're gonna have to go fast. Chrome extensions, there are a million links in these next several slides. So feel free to hold on to this and use the links to navigate through the different extensions that I'm going to show you. But if you've not added any Chrome extensions, you will click on the Chrome Web Store and you will search for, let me show you what that looks like. You'll search for whatever extension you are wanting to load, and you just do that up here in the top left-hand search bar here. And once you find the extension that you're wanting, you will click Add to Chrome. So you can kind of see it here. Let me go back into present mode. You'll click that blue Add to Chrome button, and it will show up on your toolbar at the top of the screen. I even am at work today. I was hoping the internet would be better than at my house where my kids are on YouTube and iPads and all that, but it's still a little slow. So you'll see right here, this is where we normally would type in our website, and all of your extensions that you end up loading will show up right next to that. I did make a little note before choosing one, make sure you're checking the reviews, the privacy policies. There was a big one that was out previously, and it was called Speak It, and it was an extension where students could have text read aloud on their screen, but after further investigation, it was not a secure extension, and the audio was, the data was not secure, the audio was being stored. So just make sure that you are checking the reviews and really making sure that it's a reputable company that is creating these extensions. There are so many extensions out there that it's completely overwhelming. So it's good to know kind of those go-to extensions that provide you with the most tools. So here's kind of what we're gonna go through like real fast because we don't have a lot of time. And if we can't get to them all, just know that they're here and that you can explore them on your own time as well. But I wanted to start with reading, Chrome extensions to support reading. So this is probably like the Cadillac of all Chrome extensions to support reading. And it's by a company called TextHelp. They also create Equatio, if you guys have heard of that one. Fluency Tutor, they have a lot of different extensions. And the amazing thing is that they provide all of their extensions, the premium version, free for teachers. So I added that link there. Click it. You just need to fill out your work email address. You do have to include your administrator's name and email. I don't think they actually send an email to your administrator, but they just want to verify that you are, in fact, an employed educator. So fill that out. Teacher assistants, related service staff members, anybody can get that for free. But here's what it looks like. It shows up as this toolbar across your page, whether you are in a PDF, Google Doc, Google Slides, a website. It works really across platforms, and each one of these little icons does something different. The biggest one, I would say, is just that it gives you a really good text-to-speech option. So if you have kids who need text read aloud, the play button, stop, pause is the best thing to go to. And that's one of their free features as well. So even if you aren't able to get the premium version, that part stays. So I think if you have any text that needs to be read aloud for your kiddos, have them download the Read and Write for Google extension and go from there. There's also a picture dictionary, a regular dictionary. This little magic ball is word prediction, which shows up as kind of a drop-down window as they're typing. It gives them kind of a word bank for words to choose from based on the letters that they've already typed. There's a dictionary, or a translator option. And one of the most amazing features, I think, are the highlighting tools. So if they're on a website or if they're on a PDF that you share with them, they can highlight whatever text they think is relevant to that passage. And then they use this little circle arrow icon, and it collects all of the things that they've highlighted and puts it into a new Google Doc. So now they have like the summary of the passage that you shared with them. A vocabulary list is this one right here. If you share a passage with them and say, hey, find 5 words in this passage that you think are difficult or that you want to learn more about, they highlight those 5 words, select the vocabulary list icon, and it collects those 5 words and puts into like this beautiful table where it has the word, it has a picture of the word, it has the definition, and then it has a blank column for them to type notes or to use that word in a sentence maybe. So pretty awesome, pretty extensive tool, and I wanted to start with that one for that reason.
Christy, can you speak to whether or not students also need to add these extensions to their Chrome browser in addition to the teachers?
Sure. That varies across districts. So some districts have opened up the Chrome Web Store to their students to be able to add whatever it is they would like. One of my districts, Grand Ledge, has pushed Read and Write for Google to all of their students. So it's already there. They don't have to load it. So that's another option. Some districts have it really locked down where their students cannot go in and add extensions, but administrators can push that out. So really it's up to kind of how your district is managing the student accounts. So it's easier for some districts than others. A couple more that I'm not going to go too in-depth in for sake of time is, I don't know if it's Scribble or Scribble. I'm going to go with Scribble since there's one B, and then Helperbird. So these are similar to Read and Write for Google. You can see what they look like there, where there's a toolbar that pops up. They both have free and premium versions. I just have the free version of Helperbird, and here's kind of what it shows up as. You can see these 2 little red squares here show that those are pro account features, but the free version has a ton of awesome features as well. Immersive Reader is something that you always want to look for. I think Flipgrid just added this as an option. Quizzle is another site. if you're using either of those, Flipgrid or Quizle, where they've added an immersive reader feature to their product. So I think that's something you always want to turn on for kids, so that we're not really testing their fluency and their ability to decode these words, but we're testing their ability to interact with the content and show us what they know.
Christy, can you speak a little bit to what an immersive reader is? I think we may have some folks in
Sure.
the room who aren't sure what that is.
Yeah, immersive reader is basically just fancy talk for text to speech. So it usually shows up as like a speaker next to a group of to some words. So if you click on that, it'll just read it aloud. So a lot of sites are just including that now as a universal tool. I even noticed, I don't know, I know here in Eaton County we use PowerSchool as our platform for IEP writing, and some districts use it as a platform for keeping track of grades, but they just incorporated a new immersive reader. And we are adults using that platform, and I just think it's great that so many companies are now incorporating those types of tools into their product. This one I would love to show you a little bit more about. Snap and Read, though, is a premium tool or extension that is a little bit costly. It's usually like a subscription-based purchase, but one of the really amazing things that it does is that dynamic text leveling. So it adjusts the readability of the text without changing the meaning. So that's something Snap and Read does, but I also wanted to show this website, Rewordify, that does a similar type of thing. So what I did here in this example was I found an article and I copied the text and pasted it into the rewordify.com website. And what it did was it chose some words like the word investigation, and it replaced the word investigation with this. It says act of asking questions and trying to find the truth about something. So if I'm a student who knows what investigation is, I've heard of that word, but I don't quite really know what that means, it now simplified that word and showed the meaning of that. So all of these highlighted in yellow words are replacement words that Rewordify decided to replace, which I think is pretty cool. It also will take those words that it found as complex and create activities. So you can do flashcards or matching the definition to the word. It just creates these activities for you pretty instantaneously. And it's free, which is always a bonus. I popped out of my presentation mode because I was going to show it to you, but I'm not sure we have time for that. So let's move on. Reader Mode is another extension. And again, if you guys want to download any of these, all of the titles of these extensions will link you to the Chrome Web Store where you can download them. So feel free to do that. Reader Mode is one. You can see it up here in my toolbar. It looks like that. I went to this website and it was a social studies website where you can find current events or nonfiction articles to share with your students. And it's great, the content is good, but it's totally clogged up with advertisements and links to go to other pages, and it's just really super cluttered, as you can see. So if I want my students to read this Mayflower article, I can send them the link, but they're gonna see all this other stuff. If I put it into reader mode, it just cleans up the whole article. It's the same content. And then it also gives you these options over here to be able to listen to it out loud, to save the article. Some of these, I believe, are premium versions, but I mean, it's a huge, huge change from this to this. So that one's called Reader Mode. Moving on to writing, I'm sure you guys have all heard of Grammarly. That's one that I use on my own all the time. So if you add Grammarly as one of your extensions, it interacts with all web-based writing. And it's going to check your spelling, it's going to check your grammar. It'll say, hold on, that doesn't sound right, use this word instead. And then you get this nice little email each week that's like really gives you a good pat on the back for all the amazing writing that you did that week. Co-Writer is a premium, I didn't put that on there, but it's a premium extension that provides word prediction for our students who need more of a word bank type of accommodation. It also incorporates topic dictionaries. So if you are asking your students to write a paper on, or to write a paragraph even on the Civil War, you can turn on the Civil War dictionary within Co-Writer, and then words like general will pop up, or Confederate, or whatever types of Civil War vocabulary that you're working on will show up in your writing a little easier. It's super intuitive and uses, like for the example, the word elephant, if our student starts to write that with the letter L and then an A and then an F, it's going to say, is this kid trying to spell elephant? And it will show up with the correct spelling and then give them some auditory feedback so they can listen and choose the correct word as well. Let's see, this slide and the next are full of some pretty awesome links. I think what I will do for sake of time is just show you a couple. I think these two can be pretty powerful as we move to a digital teaching and learning platform. These fillable PDFs, if you click on that link, it will take you to a site that has pre-made PDF. Here it goes. I clicked on that like 5 seconds ago. Pre-made PDF graphic organizers that you can pull into your Google Classroom or share out with students, and they don't have to do anything but click on them to fill in the content. This website, this Google Drawings, was done by a person who has a website called ditchthattextbook.com, but he has created a huge library of graphic organizers that uses the Google Drawing platform. So where we find our Google Docs, our Google Slides, Google Sheets, there's also a Google Drawings tool. And this is really taking forever. But what you would do is you click on whatever graphic organizer you are wanting. And when you click on the link here, it's going to ask you to make a copy of the graphic organizer that they've already created here, which I think is pretty amazing. There's a ton of them. 25 to be exact, as the website says. I think that as we create content to share with our students, a lot of times it's going to come in PDF form. And so having a way for our students to be able to complete that digitally is going to be important. I believe one of the 5 districts here in Eaton has pushed out the extension KAMI, K-A-M-I, to all of their students. And that's a way for them to be able to open up a PDF and to be able to type right on it. But Text Help PDF Reader is another one, and DocHub is another great one as well. So I think that those are pretty imperative that we as teachers and our students have access to. Audiobooks. Here are several links for is KAMI compatible with iPads? It's not an iPad app, but man, I just found a really good website that showed kind of a workaround for that using KAMI. So I will see if I can find that, and I will add it to the slide after the presentation, and it will be a way to use something similar But there are apps on iPads like SnapType is one of them, where you can snap a picture of a worksheet and type right on it. Adobe Scan is another one where if you take a picture of the worksheet, it actually does that OCR conversion and converts the text, and then you can upload it to your Google Drive and work on it that way and have the text read aloud if you have a way to do so. So there are some other apps that will allow that PDF editing to occur. Real quick, math. Yep, Google Drawings is something that would be located in your Google Suite, Waffle. And if it's not, you may be able to find it when you're in your Google Drive and you go to create a new Google Doc or sheet. If you keep scrolling down, it'll say more, and it will give you some more Google tools like Jamboard, Google Drawings, Forms. And if it's not there, then you just need to go check in with your IT department and say, hey, I would really like to use this Google Drawings piece of the Google Suite that I'm already using. Can you turn that on? And they will hopefully do that for you. I think here in Eaton, we just did that for Jamboard like back in June, and they were able to turn that on for us. All right, math. I'm going to try and do this in like 2 minutes. Equatio is the one similar or produced by the same company that Read and Write for Google is. This is their math version. And again, teachers get the full premium version for free. You can use that same link that was on the other slide, since it looks like I forgot to put it on this slide. But it incorporates into Google Docs and Google Forms. And so what you can do is very easily type a math equation. You can voice dictate a math equation. Your students can work out the problem, and it will convert their handwriting into a typed form of that math problem. We have some students who are visually impaired who are using this to be able to have math equations read aloud to them. So that's a pretty amazing math extension. As well are these. Math Learning Center. I really want to show you guys this, but we don't have a lot of time. If you click on that, it takes you to a website that provides some interactive programs for like time telling, number pieces, number frames. Here they are. And they will give you the web app, the Apple app, or the Chrome Store app. So really, they're just websites. So if you want to work on number lines with your students, you can send them the link to the web app for number lines. And when they open it, it's a totally interactive number line that they can use on their Chromebook, on their iPad. All of their iPad apps are free. Their Chrome Store apps are free. It's just pretty amazing. I use that a lot with my own kids back in the spring when we were doing school from home. I feel like, Andrew, I should turn this over to you for Desmos, but I won't because we don't have a lot of time. So.
Oh man, if I could do a full hour just on Desmos.
I know you're itching to do that. Maybe in October, another.
Right, session 7, all on Desmos.
Yes. I don't know if you've used Graspable Math, Andrew, or not, but it reminds me of the Math Learning Center apps, only maybe more for upper elementary, middle school, high school, where they can interact with a more complex, like algebraic equation in a digital way, like Desmos. Let's move on here. We are almost done, guys. Organization, I think a lot of people are like, holy cow, we don't have school planners or student planners anymore. What are we going to use? Google Keep, I would say, is probably the best one if they're using Chromebooks, because it allows them to organize by subject, by color. They can add photos. They can snap photos and pull it in there. They can add links. and it syncs across all of their devices. So some parents will even be logged into their students' Google Keep and just to be able to see what they're doing, what assignments are due. If you create an assignment in Google Keep, it'll link to your Google Calendar. You can set up alarms within Google Keep. But I do feel like after showing you all of these extensions, we all need to download Extensity. So Extensity is this extension right here. And when you download it, it adds every extension or app that you've ever downloaded, and it allows you to easily turn it on and off. So in my job, we're always being shown, like given, hey, here's this great new tool, try it out, tell us what you think. And then it like totally messes with the whole system and you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta just turn that off real quick. You can delete it, but you can also just use Extensity to deactivate it for the time being until you're able to go back and do some more digging into it. Okay, so I said 45 minutes, it's been 52. What I would like for you guys to do, if you could, is click on this Digital Tools and Extensions Jamboard when you go there. And if you've not used Jamboard, do it just for the fun of it, because Jamboard is a pretty awesome interactive tool. But what it allows you to do is it's like an interactive whiteboard. So you would click on the sticky note, type whatever digital tool or extension that you feel like you have used and found successful, and it will just add it right there. So awesome, look, we've got people adding things already. I'm going to close out of there because it also, we've learned, maxes out at 40. Ooh, I need to go to my email. That's a scary place, my email. So take a few minutes to go there. This is kind of how we're going to wrap up. I just want you guys to think about back to that video we saw of Sadie Paulson and her obvious barriers to learning that she had. We have students coming to us with not so obvious barriers, but we want to be able to provide them with the tools, which now for the most part will be digital tools that we know can hopefully break down those barriers that they come with us having. My email address is there. If you guys didn't know, we have several more upcoming sessions this month. They are listed there. I doubt you just came and signed up for this one, so hopefully you've also signed up for another 1 or 2 or 3 sessions throughout the rest of the month. They will be recorded, so if you're not able to attend them, we know that the time of noon and 3 o'clock is not ideal for everybody, so we will record them and share those out as well. But thank you guys. I think Allison shared the feedback form within the chat window, but it's also here on this last slide. And then our email addresses and Twitter handles for how to reach us.